I first went over to Africa about 9 years ago, and of course, all I knew about Uganda was Idi Amin, and he was gone by then. And so when I got there, I saw the aftermath of this terrible war that had been going on for over 20 years. And there's a rebel group called the Lord's Resistance Army, and they've kidnapped over 20,000 children, and they've made the little boys child soldiers and the little girls sex slaves. And they were finally driven out. And so the war's over, but the aftermath goes on, and all these children are there, and they have no way of living. And so we named this Pros for Africa because we wanted to get many different professions that are diverse and that don't normally work together. So we have doctors, we have engineers, we have professional football players, we have mothers who are homemakers, but they're professionals too. In fact, they do some of the most valuable work over there. Nurses. We had our first dentist go this year. So Pros for Africa is all about different professionals who don't normally work together, but we're working together here for a common cause to help these innocent children. We started out with a core group of athletes. The co-founders of Pros for Africa are some of them are pretty well known. Adrian Peterson, Roy Williams, Mark Clayton, and Tommy Harris. And you know, these are unusual young men. They're at the top of their profession. They're all people who could afford to go to Hawaii and, you know, lay on the beach if they wanted to. But instead, they're over there volunteering with us in some pretty hot and dusty, you know, locations, and the accommodations are not what people in America are used to seeing. And the whole time they're over there, they're working. They're manually drilling water wells. They are working with the kids and playing soccer and you know, just interacting with the kids, and they're helping distribute food. So our first trip, we took about 45 people. We had 4 doctors that volunteered to go over there, and we held a free medical clinic. And on year 1, we treated about 600 people. And these are people that would walk, you know, 10 or 12 miles just to come in and see our doctors. And so we just got back from trip number 2, and this time we had, I think it was 92 people, and we had this time 11 NFL players, in addition to the ones that I mentioned who are co-founders. These young men could be anywhere in the world doing anything they want to do, and they were over there working with these kids. We're hoping to have a lot of young people volunteer to get involved. This year, we had a young lady named Casey Parker who met Sister Rosemary and was inspired by her. And Casey just wrote us an email and volunteered to go over there for 4 months and serve Sister Rosemary. So she's a young lady that had graduated from the University of Oklahoma and was going to start med school in the fall. So she just got back from serving 4 months over there. And we're hoping that she will be the first of a long line of student volunteers. So Casey kind of gave us an idea, and so this year we recruited students.
St. Monica's it's called St. Monica Girls Tailoring Center, and it was established as a refuge for women who had been abducted by the Lord's Resistance Army and who needed a fresh start, kind of rehabilitation. And Sister Rosemary would invite them to come in, teach them practical skills like tailoring or catering, and then let them stay as long as they needed to really recuperate from the trauma they'd experienced, whether that was a year or 3 years or whatever they needed. And now, fortunately, that the LRA has been out of Uganda for, you know, a few years, not all of the girls today have been abducted. But if they haven't been abducted, then they've still been touched by that trauma. And it's still a refuge for girls who are suffering from, the terrorism of the LRA. And it's still, they're learning. We have academic courses and practical courses. So we'll have some girls come in for 3 years who do academic tailoring or academic catering. So they're learning, in the mornings they do English and math and academic subjects, and then in the afternoons they do the practical tailoring or catering. The sisters are constantly praying, but I could tell that a lot of the girls found refuge in that, in praying. You'd see them praying often, and I know that was a strength, that it's where they got a lot of their strength to overcome the trauma they've experienced.